Let me go ahead and tell you about myself. Just one quick thing. If you people don't mind, this is my first ASMR speaking role that I want to speak to all of you now, right now. So, first of all, when I started this, I thought, I honestly feel the only thing that I haven't gotten wrong today was not grabbing my phone so I can see people off to the side. But lo and behold, it turns out that none of you could even hear my rant about why all of these different things are appearing at 10 o'clock at night. So let me go ahead and go back to the beginning, because I remember everything that I said. Let's try this again, shall we?
Yo, peoples! Kyushu92 here, and welcome back to People's Choice. I gotta repeat everything that I said because the mic wasn't even turned on. Let me get the image back up here. Mic wasn't even turned on. Had to grab my phone, didn't even think, because the thing is, I restarted my computer, everything refreshed, but and it's a good thing I didn't record anything. I didn't record the Bleach episode yet, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to been heard, and I would have to do that whole reaction over again. So I'm glad we had this mishap, so that way I can correct it for the future. But whenever I restart my system, I gotta boot everything back up again, and I forgot to do my voice mod thing, which Streamlabs, my microphone for these streams, is indeed linked to. So apologies for that. But we got some things to watch today. Welcome back to People's Choice, where every other Saturday, you guys send in videos for me to react to, and we all check them out. And we got quite a few things to do today, quite a few things to watch. It's not going to be terribly long, but there are some things I definitely want to tune into and check out. Among them is the new Marvel's Avengers Doomsday teaser trailer that just came out. And of course, I'll be able to, do my own reaction and splice that off so it can be its own reaction separately. But at the same time, actually, I can record and stream at the same time. So once I'm about to start that video, I can actually do that live. Oh, that's actually kind of cool. But we have the Avengers Doomsday teaser trailer that's also out, and also the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer that showcases us going to the world of Coco. So there's quite a few things to check out as well. But one thing I wanted to, and this is what my main rant was before you guys told me that I was muted, was the fact that why is so many things getting showcased at like 10 o'clock at night when people are trying to go to sleep? What? Because D23 was showcased last night at 10. And now we have the most recent, the upcoming State of Play session that is supposed to be happening on Monday, also at 10. And I'm like, what happened to these things happening at 5? Y'all just jacking up my whole system, because I'm always doing the State of Play reactions every time. But I can't do this one because I never stream at 10 o'clock at night. That's when everyone's trying to go to sleep. So I'm like, y'all check it. If you think you're going to avoid people trying to get on your case, because I've already seen the chat logs for people over on that State of Play video, and people are just saying like, no disc, no buy. Please don't get rid of disc. No discs, no discs. We no disc, no buy. All that same stuff that people have been saying for over a month now, already in that. So if you think you're going to avoid those people by trying to have it later in the day, y'all don't know how some of these jokers roll. So I don't understand why they're having it 5 hours later than normal. And the State of Play is supposed to be showcasing Phantom Blade Zero. And Donnie Yen is in that game. So it's like, I might have to play this now. But that's just among all the other things that we're going to be checking out here today. I got my table of smacking frustration, aka also my eating desk, because I don't eat anywhere on my desk because I like to keep stuff clean. So if you see me lean over and take a sip of my lemonade, or maybe start eating my brookie, which is a brownie cookie, the next State of Play is Phantom Blade Zero. They're in a different time zone. Exactly, Tony. I literally just said that. But if you see me lean over and I'm trying to eat any of this, any of this stuff, then you guys know why. My desk is directly next to me. But the first thing we have is how to summon Silphur the Sky Dragon, Egyptian God, Yu-Gi-Oh! Satisfying Beat Building Model Kit from Filroom Plan. So let me go ahead and get the desktop audio on. Let me know if it's too loud, and let's get started. Also, this stream, just like my other People's Choice streams, will stay on not monetized, because if I try to monetize it and I play that Avengers video, then the whole stream is going to get blocked, because that's what happened to me when I tried to do a reaction to Avengers the last time. But while this will more than likely give me a claim, it probably will not block the whole stream, so this will be able to stay up. That's my assumption, and I feel very strongly about it. Onwards. Real quick, it's been a while since I built any models. The last models that I've built were essentially, the vast majority of them were Dragon Ball, where I built Super Saiyan Goku, Super Saiyan Blue Goku, wow, I don't have Goku when he has red, Super Saiyan God. I don't have Super Saiyan God Goku, but I do have Ultra Instinct Goku, and I have Dragon Ball Super Broly, along with Perfect Cell, Kid Buu, and Frieza in his final form. Those are the only models that I have of Dragon Ball. The other one is some Gundam one. It's like this. I'll show in a little bit. I'll show you, just because I forget the exact name of it. Stickers. And he's building it to the beat? Okay. You know what I just realized? My audio isn't synced up. I just realized my audio isn't synced up. I'm unmuted, but I forgot to change it back after we were playing Far Cry Primal from yesterday. Okay, my voice is now properly synced up. Back to it. See, these are the type of model videos I can watch, because I'm intrigued by the speed of the build, but also building it in line with the music as well, so it also makes it really, really entertaining too. Yo, Anime Gamer, good to see ya. We are checking out Silphur the Red Dragon, a model build. Turn my light just a little bit. There we go. I'm lighter than normal. See, it's one thing to build something regularly, but to do it in such an entertaining way like this. And the editing where he spreads it out and it's all symmetrical. he's doing all this speed editing, but it does take a minute to get all this stuff together. It takes a minute to put all this stuff together. It took me a while for Broly. It took me a while for Cell. It took me a while for all the versions of Goku that I have. It definitely took me a while for that Gundam I built too. Ooh. Yep, had to build every single one of these pieces too. So much time and effort. Yeah, it takes a while to build these things and to edit it in a way that it lines up perfectly with music you actually have. It takes a while, but it's worth it. Honestly, I wonder how that works, having a mouth on top of another bigger mouth. But this is a cool build. That's a cool design. That was cool. That was actually cool. It's so worth it when you put so much effort into it. That's the reason why I love every single bit of Legos that I have, especially the Lego Batman one. That one, both of them actually, both Batmobiles. This thing is always slipping out of my ear. Do I need to put it in my ear differently? But the Batman's Batmobile from the 2022 movie and the animated series Batmobile, both of those have to be some of my absolute favorite builds. Yeah. Yeah, those two has got to be some of my favorite builds that I've actually done. So, that was how to summon Silpher the Red Dragon. Let me go over to the next one we have. And this one comes from our resident Chaos Bringer, the Parkersburg Tornado. Wall of Death.
It's late May in 2008, and
by High Risk Chris.
Families spending their Sunday afternoon at a local restaurant celebrating a recent graduation. After receiving a tornado warning, they go outside to check the oncoming storm, and a massive tornado is heading straight for them. With moments to spare, the family and restaurant staff rushed into the safest part of the restaurant, the walk-in cooler. 6 kids and 8 adults huddle together as the violent tornado overtakes them. The storm system that spawned the Parkersburg tornado on May 25th actually began a few days earlier. On May 22nd, a strong mid-level trough overspread the western high plains. This mid-level trough would produce a low-pressure system at the surface, pulling moisture into the much higher terrain of eastern Colorado and western Kansas.
Real quick, I am so glad that me and my family, we no longer live in Oklahoma. Living in Oklahoma, there was like a tornado watch or tornado warning every, almost every, I want to say a good chunk of the time, but like almost every other week. Dealing with that, living in, like military housing where it was just combined with another house, but the structural integrity was, it was pretty solid. But then the garage in which you kept your cars, they were basically just like we've seen this before. It was when a tornado was whipping through a town. We saw this. I think it was the last People's React. I think we saw that then, and I think it was part of Daily Dose of Internet. I think one of those videos that you guys sent me. But basically the garage area. It wasn't like your traditional pull inside of the garage. That's also a part of the house type space. But it was literally one of those overhangs with like a metal like a thin metal awning that's over it. Like it'll keep out the rain, it'll keep out the heat and everything, but it was just like a piece of metal, just straight across. We had a storm went through, and we lived in Lawton, Oklahoma at the time. I don't remember exactly where in Lawton, Oklahoma, but we lived there for a while. A storm came in, and me, my two sisters, we were kids at the time. We were terrified because of how loud the wind was howling outdoors. We couldn't be in our own rooms, so we all came and huddled in our parents' room. And this is back during the time when TVs still had tube TVs. Like, people were still using tube TVs, like the big ones. You know, the ones that you would see back before we started getting flat screens and thin screens and smart TVs. They were the big TVs that had the big bottoms that you needed 2 people to move around the house, and you would need 3 people or 4 people if you had carpet that you were trying to move it on, because them jokers don't move or slide on carpet at all. We huddled in her room, and it was just loud howling for hours, and the wind was hitting the side of the house. So much was getting torn up. And after the storm subsided, we see that our little garage that we had, and we were driving a green Mitsubishi. It was a big Mitsubishi. It was a big truck. It was a big, like, family van. So it's sort of family van truck, like no, SUV. Vans is one thing. SUVs are different, everything. But it was a big SUV, big green SUV. The awning came down, and it broke through, and it landed on top of the Mitsubishi. Thankfully, it didn't break any windows. It left scratches on top of our car. But not only did our awning get ripped up, many people's houses were damaged as well. And there was this massive tree in the neighborhood that was where people would always chill around. And it was basically the biggest thing in that strip of road for the neighborhood. That whole thing was completely ripped up, and it fell over, and it was sitting in the middle of the street. And mind you, this is one of those massive trees. Like, you would need several people in order to actually wrap around the tree itself. It wasn't like 2 people can get around it, or maybe like 3 people. You needed like several people to basically hug this tree. It was just massive. You could have multiple people up in its branches. That's how big it was. But the whole thing came down and fell in the middle of the street, and it took days to just merely cut that thing down and get it out of the road, because that's how big it was. Now, what happened to the house that the tree fell extremely close to, I don't really remember, because all I could really remember from my childhood from that moment was literally coming outside and seeing this massive tree. Thankfully, that road wasn't just, the only way people could get in and out of their neighborhood. Thankfully, they built it so that you could, if people were living on one side of the tree, they have one road they can take to get back to the main road. And then we had our way. Our way was clear enough where we could just easily come and go as we please without being inconvenienced by this massive tree. But all I really remember from it was this tree literally coming out of its roots, tipping over and falling, and just waking up to seeing it just in the middle of the street. And that was my experience of some of the most severe weather I have ever seen since I've been living, that I've actually been through. Yeah. And then being here in North Carolina, I've seen my share of crazy storms. Like one time, and we'll get back to this real quick. Also, this is how you do transformative content. Instead of just sitting there not saying anything and letting the video play and then racking in money, you actually have a whole different conversation, and therefore make it so that it's your own unique content that you're doing. This is for you YouTubers out there. Learn it! But another thing that happened was a massive storm came through when I was working at Best Buy. And mind you, it was going on 6, 7 o'clock at night. And during that time, I think it was like we went forward an hour. So it was darker. But the storm rolled through. The wind was whipping through. Barely anyone could stand it. And it hit so hard that we were telling people to run inside the store, because you could just hear, and mind you, Best Buy is a big store. You could hear how loud the wind was, regardless of where you were in the store, because it surrounded the store. It surrounded pretty much the whole area. And not only that, but the storm was so powerful, it somehow caused the sky to literally brighten up. It was dark outside. The storm came through, and then it seemed as if sunset had literally reset, and it was suddenly bright outside again. I'm telling you, I don't know how this happened, but I have never seen a storm where things get, and it wasn't like lightning strikes were keeping it bright. It's as if the sun never set, and it was still in the sky, and the clouds were bright as if the sun was shining on them. I don't know how that happened. I don't know what sort of phenomena that was, but that's another storm that I had to endure as well. And I don't think I've seen another storm that strong. Mind you, there have been some strong storms here in North Carolina, I want to say, but it's just crazy how weather works. Never experienced a tornado, but watching this, I don't know what's scarier, tornadoes or earthquakes. Both. One could literally, they both have their incredible dangers. One is powerful enough to literally lift you off the ground, where you have absolutely no way to protect yourself. Another has the capacity of either opening up the ground underneath you or causing you to become buried within whatever building or whatever space you're trying to hide in. There's a lot of dangers there. The only thing about earthquakes is there are some, and I use the term safer methods of protecting yourself from earthquakes very loosely, due to the fact that the only way you can be a lot safer from an earthquake is if you move away from any place that has anything that could fall on you. Like being in an open field, you would pretty much have to only worry about, like sudden sinkholes, and that's only if the ground itself is weak, or, maybe a rock slide, depending on the elevation that you're at. Tornadoes, though, those are a whole different beast altogether. Like 100+ winds, being able to rip up basically anything and everything in their path, depending on the size of the storm itself. I want to say tornadoes are way more dangerous than earthquakes, but I'm not going to say that earthquakes are any less dangerous due to, lately, for the past month and a half, there have been so many 7.1 to 7.6 great earthquakes across Venezuela and Colombia and Japan, and so many other earthquakes have been happening far quicker than any other locations in any year that I've witnessed them. And it's actually kind of concerning how many have been happening in a short amount of time. But let's get back to this. Sorry, hopefully I didn't lose you guys.
Impacts the town of Windsor, killing one.
Oh. This thing already took somebody.
To the east, a few other supercells produce multiple photogenic tornadoes, causing minimal harm as they move through the vast open plains of western Kansas.
Gotta get
In the
another
overnight
napkin.
hours, the massive system progresses, forming a newer, even more potent pattern on the 23rd. For a second day in a row, extreme shear overlaps an area of moist, unstable air. In response, the forecasters at the Storm Prediction Center issue a large, high risk over western Kansas, and they couldn't have been more correct. 79 tornadoes touch down, mostly over western Kansas, with the correct.
What? How many? What did you say?
29 tornadoes touch down, mostly over Kansas, and they couldn't have been more correct. 79 tornadoes touch down, mostly
79? 79 tornadoes. Roll that back. I'd argue earthquakes are more deadly. A tornado will affect a general area. An earthquake can affect entire continents. Yeah, that is a good point. I didn't think of that. Yeah. Yeah, that actually is a good point. Tornadoes, sure, they affect an area, but they dissipate. Earthquakes have aftershocks. You never had an aftershock of a tornado before. And sometimes these aftershocks can last for days, if not weeks, depending on how strong the earthquake actually is. That is, you are right. Earthquakes, tornadoes can, mess up an entire neighborhood and leave a whole scar of where it touched down, but earthquakes could literally change the topography of an entire area, of an entire region, of an entire country, of an entire continent, all on its own. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, earthquakes are literally world-changing things. They have the capacity, because tornadoes, they are dangerous, but earthquakes could literally change the shape, can change the shape of the world itself, depending on the severity. Permanently changing it. You can rebuild a house after a tornado. You can't rebuild an entire landmass after an earthquake.
Kansas, and they couldn't have been more correct. 79 tornadoes touched down, mostly over western Kansas, with the strongest tornado being an EF4 near the town of Quinter, Kansas.
79! I know I keep pausing. This is helping this stream be different than just people who are just merely looking at stuff. But I'm just wrapping my head around just simply one tornado. Just one is dangerous enough. 79 touching down?
The next day, on the 24th, the mid-level winds are slightly less potent than the previous 2 days. However, Mother Nature was restless, and a supercell in north-central Oklahoma puts down a handful of tornadoes, which, of course, is covered on live TV thanks to Oklahoma's unrivaled tornado culture.
Been quite lucky with this so far.
After non-stop tornado action on the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, you'd think the tornado chaos would subside, but yet again, the next day, the 500 millibar jet stream persists, overlapping a large region of moist air spanning most of Tornado Alley. The Storm Prediction Center initially puts 2 areas of heightened tornado potential, with the northern risk centered over Minnesota and Wisconsin. But as the day progresses, tornado risk in this area is extended southwards, because of an extremely unique set of circumstances taking shape in northern Iowa. The Sunday morning started out cold and cloudy, but strong moisture advection at the surface begins midday. Modest dews in the 50s skyrocket into the 70s. Meanwhile, to the north, there's a well-defined surface low transversing the North Dakota-Canada border into Minnesota, adding an extreme amount of spin into the atmosphere. And to make matters worse, a secondary low develops in southern Minnesota. And on top of all that, 2 different warm fronts develop in central Iowa, giving the storm exactly what it needs to produce a strong tornado.
See, this is one of the reasons why I get concerned when it's very, very hot out. Because I learned about warm fronts and cold fronts and how they can affect how severe an impending storm may be. When we have extremely hot days, and then it gets windy, and then it starts raining, but it's still hot, that just adds on to it. And we've been having a lot of storms lately, a lot of loud thunderstorms, a lot of lightning as well. So when I see warm fronts in an area that's already having a whole bunch of storms, I get concerned because they have the capacity to create big storms, dangerous storms.
As clouds clear over Iowa, to most, this is just another beautiful late spring day. However, the sun bakes the moist, unstable air at the surface. The blue sky above their heads is like gasoline-soaked brush, and all it needs is a spark to set things ablaze. At 3 in the afternoon, a set of rogue gravity waves appear. These waves are like small ripples in a pond, slightly disrupting the different layers in the atmosphere. And these small ripples have huge consequences.
Tony, you be stepping away when I bring this stuff up. You must be stepping away because I've literally just brought this up as well. You gotta be stepping away. The timing of you stepping away and me talking about this stuff is perfect.
the formation of a group of storms in central Iowa. The storms slowly move across Iowa for an hour before the southern storm begins to dominate, and at 4:30, radar shows that the dominant storm forms a unique feature called a descending reflectivity core. As the downdraft falls to the ground, it impinges the storm's inflow, constricting and tightening it, causing the inflow to dramatically intensify.
Yeah, his video
Moments
might be
later,
behind.
a hook forms on radar, and at 4:48 in the afternoon, a large
can eat it
tornado
like this.
touches down south of Applington, Iowa. Before I talk about the Parkersburg tornado, I have to tell you about this game-changing product, ZBiotics. It's what's called a pre-alcohol drink, and it's the very first engineered probiotic to help tackle rough mornings after drinking. And it's the pre-event of tornado just south at 4:48 in the afternoon, satisfied for any reason. So there's really no tornado. At 4:48 in the afternoon, the dominant supercell produces a large tornado just south of Applington,
This video hasn't
Iowa.
been recent
A local
enough for me to
less than
keep
a
that
mile to
ad
the
in.
northeast of the circulation records the tornado only moments after it forms.
It's on the ground.
It is.
That's not funny.
No, it's not funny.
Even though this might not look like a classic tornado, this is unquestionably the start of a tornado because of the swirling dust directly underneath a highly visible mesocyclone.
Holy shit.
Let's get inside.
Alright.
Eventually, the resident goes inside to take cover, but the tornado is just getting started, and it is now heading directly towards the town of Parkersburg. Meanwhile, Chief Deputy Tim Woltoff is on duty, patrolling the area with his 20-year-old son when he spots the tornado to his northwest. His vehicle's dashcam captures this incredible view of the giant tornado as it closes in on town. Tim, along with other storm spotters in the area, report the massive tornado, and a tornado warning is issued for the town of Parkersburg.
Why weren't you inside already? That's my question. Oh, you're outside watching a gigantic, massive tornado start to be formed. Well, looks like it's we want to see it touch down, and then we can say like, well, let's get inside. Because they got to make sure it's a tornado. Yeah, that's the whole vibe I got. Hold on. Is that a tornado?
That's not funny.
It looks like a tornado. How can you tell? Well, it's starting to swirl around, but it hasn't touched down yet. Do you have to wait for a tornado to touch down on the ground for you to realize, oh, that's a tornado, let's get back inside? Like, what? If I see anything swirling around on the ground, I'm thinking, okay, especially if I see leaves on the ground and they're swirling, I'm like, small tornado. It's not enough to cause me any harm, but it's there. If I see dust being picked up in the air by a giant pillar of a cloud and it starts moving in one direction, the first thing that's going to pop into my head is not going to be, let me wait and watch and see if it actually turns into a tornado. No, the first thing that's going to be in my head is, that looks like a tornado. Let's go ahead and get ready just in case. Because if it stops, if it looks like it's no longer moving to the left or right, we gotta go. And I don't want to be like, well, let me see if it touches down to the ground. I need to see it connect from the sky down to the floor before I start to decide that it's a tornado and we got to get up out of here. Like, no! No!
It's right at this time when a family celebrating graduation at Matt's Bar and Grill receives word of the tornado warning. They go outside to check because 9 out of 10 times nothing ever happens. This time was different. A massive wall of darkness is moving directly towards them. With only moments to act, they run inside and go to the safest spot, the restaurant's walk-in cooler. 6 kids and 8 adults huddle together, knowing these could be their very last moments. The tornado begins to close the gap on the town, and the first building in the path on the west side of town is Parkersburg Lumber, a standard sheet metal industrial building. Seconds later, the tornado overtakes Parkersburg Lumber, shredding the sheet metal into tiny pieces, while also bending the thick steel frame I-beams. The core of the tornado continues moving east along Highway 57. All buildings are completely demolished, and someone loses their life at a home next to the gas station. The tornado then overtakes Matt's Bar and Grill. Simultaneously, a man north of town is recording the tornado as it barrels into the west side of Parkersburg. A mile to the south, businesses and homes are shredded to pieces, forever changing the small Midwestern town.
Look at that stuff fly. Look at that junk fly. Holy balls.
Despite taking a direct hit, everyone in the restaurant survives the encounter. The quick thinking to take shelter in the walk-in cooler undoubtedly saves the lives of the family and restaurant staff. After impacting the bar, the tornado continues its march along Highway 57. The extreme debris-filled winds of the tornado levels multiple homes, killing 3 more residents just south of the highway. On the other side of the highway is First National Bank, which has multiple security cams running as the tornado overtakes the building. One camera is recording outside, and in the video you can see the dark mass of the tornado slowly consume a neighboring home.
Oh, yo! Whoa!
Inside,
Did y'all see
multiple
that?
security
Just ripping off the whole house.
neighboring home.
Just peeling it. Like, you ever see those videos? You ever see those videos where you see a nuclear blast and you see the shockwave hit the house and then proceed to just shred the house to pieces? This is that, except on the opposite side. Instead of the house being blown away, it is literally being forcibly ripped off of its own hinges. Can you imagine the amount of force necessary to basically shred a house as if it's nothing but paper or like shredded wheat? Just literally just falls apart at the seams.
Inside, multiple security cameras capture the moment the tornado overtakes the bank, showing what the chaos inside of a tornado really looks like. At the same time, resident Miles Humphrey and his wife are escaping the tornado in their car. Miles stops to take a
Hold
photo
on, I gotta
of the
rewind
tornado.
that one too.
Right
I gotta
as-
rewind that one too.
Inside,
Look at
multiple
how
security
the storm breaks open the door. And because the suction strength of the tornado is so strong, it literally, it's like a pressure chamber. And as soon as pressure is applied to the inside of the building, then everything gets tossed and turned. It's like a forceful super vacuum. Like, watch the top left one, the top left section.
cameras capture the moment the tornado overtakes the bank, showing what the chaos inside of a
Actually, no, I think it was the bottom right that started it first.
cameras capture the moment the tornado overtakes the bank, showing
Yeah, it was the bottom right that burst open first. Before the front doors, it was the bottom right. Those windows get burst open, and the suction strength of the tornado just trashes the whole inside of the place. It doesn't even rip off the roof of the building, but the power of the winds from outside are so strong, it messes up everything
what
inside.
the chaos inside of a tornado really looks like.
That is
At the
crazy.
same time, resident Miles Humphrey and his wife are escaping the tornado in their car. Miles stops to take a photo of the tornado right as it's over Parkersburg. Fortunately, Miles and his wife escaped the tornado to the east. However, the tornado is still moving through the heart of town, now overtaking Parkersburg High School. Large sections of the building's roof collapse, and classrooms are strewn into piles of debris. And while damage at the high school is bad, the building is located on the north side of the tornado, which is the weaker side. Even worse damage occurs to the south of the high school. Here, Richard's roof
Look at this
collapsed,
damage.
and classrooms
Look
are
at the
strewn
damage
into
from
piles
the
of debris.
weakest side of that tornado. It demolished a whole section of the school. And that was from the weak side of the tornado. The side that didn't have that much strength. And it tore this building to shreds. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Also, quick question. I know I've been talking a whole lot, especially when I pause. How does my voice sound? With these panels that I got, they have been definitely helping me out. Yeah, okay. I had to double check there. Yeah, it's good. But how does my voice sound? Not too much reverb or anything, right? I wanted to be sure.
And while damage at the high school is bad, the building
Sounds
is
clean?
located on the
Excellent.
north
That's
side
what I
of
like
the
to hear.
tornado, which is the weaker side. Even worse damage occurs to the south of the high school. Here, Richard and Ethel Mulder are on their way to their basement when the tornado hits at EF5 strength, killing both along with their neighbor. These homes are so damaged that concrete basement walls are cracked, and according to records, all the people who died here were sheltering in their basements. In less than 2 minutes, the destructive winds of the tornado wiped out the southern third of town. After exiting the east side of town, the tornado moves over the Legend Trail golf course, leaving significant ground scouring, while spreading tiny shards of debris from the buildings in Parkersburg. The tornado continues east over a field, leaving a trench in the ground for over 1 mile, a feat rarely ever documented in tornadoes. The tornado sustains its immense strength as it crosses Beaver Creek, pulping the forest, now moving towards the neighboring town of New Hartford. As the tornado moves along 325th Street, it impacts a few buildings, claiming its 8th victim, Norman Buthian. The tornado keeps its due easterly course and is on track to miss the small town of New Hartford to the north, which is fortunate because the tornado was larger than the entire town. However, it was now closing in on another group of homes on Beaver Valley Road. The tornado first overtakes Oak Hill Cemetery, where hundreds of gravestones are shattered to pieces. Immediately after the cemetery, the most violent winds on the south side of the tornado directly impact a home, sadly killing its 9th victim, Lisa Bleeker, who was gruesomely killed by debris. Lisa's home is so violently destroyed it practically ceases to exist. The only things left are a few cinder blocks and debris that had been crushed into tiny particles. The tornado continues east along the road, and right at this time, Doug Christensen captures a set of photos of the tornado. These photos show the dark, evil beast as it's at peak strength north of New Hartford. The tornado then deviates from its easterly course by turning to the north. This behavior is called an occlusion process, and it's a sign that the tornado is weakening. However, the tornado suddenly turns back to the south, showing that the occlusion process failed. This is rare. In most tornadoes, they turn to the north, and that's the last thing the tornado does. But it continues back on its easterly course, moving along Beaver Creek Road. Fortunately, the tornado appears to have significantly weakened, as homes in this area show little signs of damage. The tornado then approaches the Cedar River,
The fact that
and
it's
right as
gone
it
this
crosses the
far.
river, it tries to occlude again, but it fails the process for a second time, trekking back east. The tornado is now on the northern side of the large town of Cedar Falls.
Not once, but twice? It's like, I can still keep going. I can still keep going. So the fact that it failed to, it had a failed occlusion and then went right back east again. They said it's rare for that to happen. Now it's happened twice to this one tornado.
A local records the tornado from their back porch. Visually, the tornado appears much weaker than it did earlier. Instead of a giant barrel-shaped tornado, it's now a dusty circulation with sporadic vortices. There is, however, another threat present. The winds wrapping around the backside of the tornado, known as the rear flank downdraft, are overspreading the north side of Cedar Falls, including the regional airport. These RFD winds are measured well in excess of 100 miles per hour, which are dangerous to anyone trapped outside, because at those speeds flying debris can be deadly. After crossing Highway 218, the tornado persists over farm fields. For a third time, the tornado fails to occlude, and right as it crosses Highway 63, it has another erratic movement as it performs an abrupt S-curve, leaving this unique mark in the field. Shortly after, the tornado completes yet another loop, and for the 5th time, the tornado fails to die. At this point, the circulation was now north of the
What is this thing? There were multiple points for it to head north and start to dissipate, and it keeps going east.
The town of Dunkerton exhibiting another strange behavior as it swells to a massive 1.2 miles wide, which is insanely impressive. Although damage here is relatively weak, soon after the tornado contracts in size, and after traveling over 40 miles in 70 minutes, killing 9 and injuring 70, the tornado finally dies southwest of Fairbank, Iowa.
A tornado that traveled 40 miles. Had multiple failed occlusions. And stopping just short of this town. And I thought that the first tornado video that we all reacted to, I thought that was something.
Tornado chaos had finally come to an end for the people of Iowa. Just kidding. Minutes after the Parkersburg tornado dies, another tornado travels over.
What? After this, how many states did it cross? How many states did it cross? I don't know how many states. I think it's still in the same one. It just traveled 40 miles. But 40 miles just southwest of Fairbank. And then not long after that, another tornado starts up. Sir, this is a Wendy's. What you're looking for isn't here. What in the world?
For 30 miles. Minutes after the Parkersburg tornado dies, another tornado travels over 30 miles while being accompanied by a secondary anticyclonic tornado to the south. The storm spawns yet another tornado before it completely outruns the unstable air and finally stops producing tornadoes. The sun sets, and the people of Iowa are left in darkness, having to recover from the tornado that devastated the town of Parkersburg. In the days
So the first one traveled 40 miles, then another one spawned and traveled an additional 30 miles. With a few cyclonic inclusions on the side, but nothing that grew to the size of the one that started in Parkersburg.
Following the tornado, the community came together to help pick up the pieces, and it wasn't just the people of Parkersburg. People from all over northern Iowa showed up to help. The town quickly established a mobile recovery center to help victims with their daily needs, and those without homes were swiftly adopted by their neighbors who still had shelter. Meteorologists from the National Weather Service came in to survey the damage, and it didn't take long before they determined that this tornado was way beyond EF3 strength, so a team of outside engineers was called in to assist the survey. Ultimately, they found that the damage from the tornado was consistent with the EF5 guidelines on both the east side of Parkersburg and the north side of New Hartford. In the months following, the National Weather Service launched an investigation of their actions from that day to see how they could improve moving forward. This investigation produced a lengthy 51-page report, and they found some interesting things. One finding was that their wording in the tornado warning prior to Parkersburg may have been slightly too modest, and the SPC outlook from the morning did not predict that a violent tornado was possible in Iowa, which are valid criticisms. But in my opinion, weather is so chaotic, you can't really blame a forecast, and things like the wording on a tornado warning are pretty inconsequential. The most crucial thing that can be done to save lives is to sound the tornado siren in time, warning the people downstream of the tornado to get to cover. And according to the report, the tornado sirens were in fact sounded. However, the two videos taken as the tornado was entering town do not have any sirens sounding. This is directly contradictory to the
Nope.
report,
I don't
which
hear
states
nothing.
that the sirens were sounded
I know
2 minutes prior
tornado
to the tornado
sirens.
entering town. Regardless, this doesn't change the fact that 1/3 of the town of Parkersburg was destroyed and 9 people lost their lives. And according to records, all the victims were in their basements when they died. So all of them seem to have been aware of the tornado, took action, but it still wasn't enough. Over the following years, Parkersburg made a full recovery, including the high school, the heart of town. To this day, the high school keeps a memorial of the tornado with a clock that stopped at the exact moment the tornado hit, 4:56 in the afternoon on May 25th, 2008.
That's crazy. That is absolutely crazy. How long ago was this? Oh, this video was made a year ago. Hackleburg, huh? May have to watch that one another day. Okay, so that was the Parkersburg tornado. Just reiterating just how dangerous weather phenomena can actually be. And I have to go back to what High Risk was talking about. Regardless of whatever report you make, whatever you say on the news, and whatever data you drudge up, there really and truly is no way to fully predict weather and know exactly what it's going to do. You can warn people, but you can't predict exactly what's going to happen because the weather does not move based off of man and man's assumptions. The weather moves how the weather moves, and none of us can be 100% accurate in telling what it's going to do. There have been many times when my neck of the woods would say like, "Oh, we're going to get a whole bunch of rain," and then if in the next day or two, and in the next day or two we don't get nothing. So it's like, yeah, can't fully trust, weather apps and all that. You just got to be, prepared just in case. If everything is fine, then you good. But if you don't, and if you don't, and when weather isn't fine, you also got to be prepared for that as well. So it's like weather stuff like this is crazy, especially tornadoes. And I'm getting reminded of the El Reno tornado that we reacted to about a good year, maybe 2 years ago. When I was looking at that and saw how there were storm chasers, multiple storm chasers, and how one was trying to outrun it, and it seemed like the tornado was chasing after this man. Regardless of where he went, the tornado was still following him. Crazy coincidences on how a lot of this weather tends to behave. But that was the Wall of Death. We now have a very special request, and we're about to check out the largest black hole in the universe. That tornado gave me the chills. It gave me chills as well because because the way it was described, it felt like I was watching a horror movie. Like the way it was behaving, its erratic behavior and movements, the way people were trying to overtake it and outrun it, and it seemed like it was chasing people down, trying to kill them. It was literally the closest we can get to a live horror movie. Because the fates of some of them people who got swept up in those tornadoes, it is horror movie inducing. But we have the largest black hole in the universe size comparison by Kurzgesagt. Kurzgesagt. Sagt. I don't even know how to say that. That better not be an obscene word or a curse word in a different language. Otherwise, I'm gonna get you. I don't think it is though. But yeah.
Things in the universe are black holes. In contrast to things like planets or stars, they have no physical size limit and can literally grow endlessly. Although in reality, specific things need to happen to create different kinds of black holes, from really tiny ones to the largest single things in the universe. So how do black holes grow? And how large is the largest of them all?
Ooh, beautiful frame rate. I like being able to play 1080p 60 FPS videos for you guys. They look nice. And I like this animation too. It's nice.
This video will not discuss how black holes work or how they form, since we've looked at that in detail in our black hole and neutron star series. You can check them out afterwards. For now, we're interested in finding the largest thing in the universe. Let's start really, really small. Primordial black holes. The smallest kind of black holes may or may not exist. If they do, they're probably the oldest objects in the universe, older even than atoms. They would have formed just after the Big Bang, when the universe was so dense with violent energy that any tiny pocket that was just slightly more dense than its neighbors could produce a black hole. The smallest primordial black hole that could still be around would be 8 trillion kilograms or so, the mass of a big mountain. And yet they would be no bigger.
Notice that this man said the smallest black hole, a primordial black hole, which sounds like something you would hear out of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime. It's like, your primordial black hole, the most ancient of black holes that ever existed in this world. You have arch black holes, you have black hole lords, and then you have primordial black holes. It just seems like that. When I hear primordial, I just think of something that exists near the beginning of time. Wait, how can they be older than atoms? Good question. But notice how this man said these things can weigh trillions of grams, which is the size of a small mountain. The smallest black hole has a mass of a mountain.
Trillion kilograms or so, the mass of a big mountain. And yet,
Sorry, big mountain. Not small mountain, big mountain. That's the mass of a primordial black hole.
yet they would be no bigger than a proton. A primordial black hole.
No bigger than a proton, yet weighs and has the mass of a big mountain. Smaller than what we can visibly see with our eyes, yet denser than anything on Earth.
Hole with the mass of Earth would barely be larger than a coin. This makes them very hard to find, so we haven't actually observed any yet. If they exist, they may even be the mysterious dark matter that holds galaxies together. Let's move on to the kinds of black holes that we know for sure are out there. Stellar black holes. To make a black hole, we need to compress enough matter so that it collapses into itself. After that, the more mass we throw at it, the larger it becomes. In today's universe, only the most violent cosmic events can create the necessary conditions, such as the merger of neutron stars or when the core of a very massive star collapses in a supernova.
I love how
To have a
this is
unit
animated.
to work with here, we'll use the mass of our Sun, about 2 million trillion kilograms. The smallest known black hole has 2.7 times the mass of the Sun, which works out as a sphere around 16 kilometers in diameter, large enough to cover Paris. Another lightweight black hole is the companion to the V723 Mon red giant star. This star is 24 times larger than our Sun, 30 million kilometers in diameter. And yet, it's thrown around by a tiny black hole just 17.2 kilometers wide. This tiny thing bullying the star is so much smaller that we can barely even show them in comparison. One of the largest known stellar black holes is M33X7. It currently spends its time eating a 70 solar mass blue giant bit by bit. As all that stolen matter circles towards the black hole, like water going down a drain, friction heats it up to temperatures high enough to shine 500,000 times brighter than our Sun. And yet,
So hold on. Let me get this straight. So this thing is eating a whole star, and it's capable of producing enough light that is how much?
circles towards the black hole, like water going down a drain, friction heats it up to temperatures high enough to shine 500,000 times brighter than our Sun.
500 times bright. 500,000. 500,000 times brighter than our own sun. Can you imagine that much light? 500,000 times the power of light of our sun? You wouldn't be able to see anything. That's how bright this light is around this black hole.
And yet, X7 is only 15.65 solar masses and 92 kilometers wide, just big enough to cast a shadow on Corsica. To grow much larger, black holes have to either devour a lot of stars or, better, merge with one another. The instruments that make it possible to detect these mergers are very new, so we're currently discovering a lot of exciting things. Like two massive black holes that we detected in a galaxy 17 billion light-years away. As they spun around each other violently, they released more energy in the form of gravitational waves than the combined light from all the stars in the Milky Way in 4,400 years. The new black hole star, they released more energy in the form of gravitational waves than the combined light from all the stars in the Milky Way in 4,400 years. The new black hole they formed is about the size of Germany and is 142 solar masses. And here we hit a curious gap in scale. There are lots of black holes up to 150 solar masses, and then there's nothing for a long time. Until we suddenly hit black holes that are millions of times more massive. Which is a bit confusing because we had this idea that black holes are consistently growing and growing. But for the most massive black holes, this process is not fast enough to explain their existence today. The universe is simply not old enough for these supermassive black holes to have formed by eating stars and merging with each other. Something else must have happened. To explain how we got the largest black holes in the universe, we might need the largest stars that ever existed, quasi-stars. To get a sense of scale, we can compare them to the largest stars that exist today. Our sun is like a grain of sand next to them. We don't know if quasi-stars actually existed, but they're an interesting concept when it comes to supercharging black hole development. The idea is that the matter in the early universe was so dense that quasi-stars could grow to thousands of times the mass of our sun. The cores of these stars might have been crushed by their own weight so much to actually collapse into black holes while the star was still forming. In contrast to stars today that would destroy themselves in the process, inside quasi-stars, a deadly balance could emerge. Gravity pressed the supermassive star together, feeding the black hole and heating the material falling in to such a degree that the radiation pressure kept the star stable. And so these quickly growing black holes might have been able to consume the quasi-star for millions of years and grow far bigger than any modern stellar black hole.
Can you imagine a black hole forming inside of a whole star and then that whole star just being consumed from the inside out? Just consuming the whole star.
Black holes several thousand times the mass of the sun and wider than the entire Earth. These black holes might have become the seeds for supermassive black holes.
We're now at supermassive. We had primordial, then we had stellar. Now we have supermassive. Not just massive, but supermassive. We're skipping over regular massive.
So now we arrive at the kings of our universe, the largest single bodies in existence. The centers of most galaxies contain a supermassive black hole, and they are monstrous. In the Milky Way, we have Sagittarius A star, a supermassive black hole with about 4 million solar masses that is calm and collected and just does its thing. We know it sits there because we can see a number of stars being thrown around by a seemingly empty spot. And despite its incredible mass, its radius is still only 17 times our sun. Smaller than most giant stars, but millions of times more massive. Because supermassive black holes, but millions...
Y'all don't know how long I'm staring at that sun for, realizing that the Earth is super small compared to our sun. Like, very small. The heat that we get from the sun, it's quite nice. But I'm grateful that our planet is no closer to the sun because we would be enduring some serious heat during the summer, even more than we already have this year. But seeing how small the sun is at the bottom, and then seeing like the Sagittarius black hole that eclipses our sun that no person could ever hope. And then we got a blue dwarf star in the back. Planet sizes are crazy.
Billions of times more massive. Because supermassive black holes are so massive and located at the center of galaxies, many people imagine them as being a bit like the sun in the solar system, an anchor that glues everything else together and forces it into an orbit. But this is a misconception. While the sun makes up 99.86% of all the mass in the solar system, supermassive black holes usually only have 0.001% of the mass of their galaxy. The billions of stars in galaxies are not gravitationally bound to them. Instead, it's the gravitational effect of dark matter which holds them together. Many supermassive black holes aren't gentle giants, especially when they're feeding on the clouds of mass in their galaxy. The one at the center of the BL Lacerti galaxy is devouring so much material that it produces jets of plasma accelerated to nearly the speed of light. If Earth were orbiting this huge body, it would seem 115 times larger than our sun in the sky, and would be burnt to a crisp in seconds by its glowing hot accretion disk. At this point, black holes become so large that stars seem ridiculously tiny compared to them. The galaxy Cygnus A has a supermassive black hole with 2.5 billion solar masses and 14.7 billion kilometers wide. 2.5. The galaxy is so large that stars seem ridiculously tiny compared to them.
What? What?
Black holes become so large that stars seem...
Look. Look at how small our sun is compared to this black hole. This is like being a human in comparison to Galactus, or like a celestial. That's how big this one black hole is. The sun is a dot. The sun is a period in a sentence, and this massive black hole might as well be like one of those giant beach balls you blow up and then you throw into a crowd at like a party or in a gym full of kids.
Ridiculously tiny compared to them. The galaxy Cygnus A has a supermassive black hole with 2.5 billion solar masses and 14.7 billion kilometers wide, which would mean that if it took the place of our sun, it would swallow all the planets and stretch halfway to the edge of our solar system. It's devouring so much mass and material that it churns its disk into a kind of magnetic funnel, spewing gas out, making tremendous radio lobes towering over the galaxy 500,000 light-years in diameter. That's 2.5 Milky Ways wide. Another pretty large supermassive black hole sits in the galaxy Messier 87. It has 6.5 billion solar masses and was the first black hole we got an actual photo of, or rather, of the glowing gas around the edge of a menacing shadow.
It is crazy. It is crazy how we actually got an image of what a black hole looks like, and even though it's super blurry, knowing that it's just a spot in space that just consumes everything around it, knowing that this thing exists, it's like, I don't care if it's blurry. Knowing it's out there is groundbreaking in terms of scientific discovery. We got an image of a black hole in space.
This sphere of darkness is so large that it covers our entire solar system. And yet, there is a scale even above these kinds of objects.
What? We just witnessed the size of a black hole that is capable of eclipsing the sun in every way possible, making the sun look like a period. Now you're telling me that there's one that apparently eclipses even that size?
Ultramassive black holes.
Great, ultramassive, primordial, stellar, supermassive, and now ultramassive. Ultra! Okay.
Now we reach the most massive black holes, perhaps the largest single bodies that will ever exist. These black
Like, look at the hue of the colors around this black hole. It's like this thing has reached the avatar state. What's with the glowing godhood-like glow?
holes have eaten so much that they've grown to tens of billions of solar masses, their gravity the engine for a quasar, an accretion disk shining brighter than thousands of galaxies full of stars. So massive that they deserve a title of their own: ultramassive black holes. The ultramassive black hole at the center of galaxy OJ287 is 18 billion solar masses. It's so big that it has a supermassive black hole nearly 40 times larger than Sagittarius A star orbiting it. This thing,
A black hole so large it has its own black hole also orbiting it. See, this is the reason why No Man's Sky is both a fun game but also terrifying, because at a moment's notice they could just switch up how black holes even look and we could get stuff like this in the game. Mind you, we're getting another major update called Cosmos, and I don't know what that means. I don't know if they're going to revamp how stars and planets work in the game. I don't know what they're going to do. They recently celebrated 10 years of No Man's Sky being active and a game that people can play. So I'm a very appreciative for them for that, but at the same time, I'm like, y'all just keep doing stuff. What if they add like supermassive black holes? What if they add like revamp black holes as a whole?
defies imagination and is ready Sagittarius A star orbiting it. This thing defies imagination and is really hard to compare to anything. It can comfortably fit 3 solar systems side by side inside of it. Let's end this insane competition and get to the King of Kings. TUN 618, a black hole that we can observe consuming galaxies worth of matter, is shining with the brightness of 100 trillion stars, visible from 18 billion light years away. It has an incredible 66 billion solar masses, a black hole so large that it would take light a week to reach the singularity after crossing the event horizon. About 11 solar systems could sit inside of it side by side. It may very well be the largest single body in the universe, but in reality, it's probably even larger. Since TUN 618 is so far away, we only see what it looked like 10 billion years ago. In any case, black holes are scary and mysterious and gigantic. They'll be here after everything else dies and growing larger and larger. Okay, now let's do the trip again. From the smallest possible black hole all the
Primordial.
way up to the largest.
Next up should be Stellar. Like, look at this. Look at the size scaling. Look at the size. That's the Earth. Look at the size of it.
Let's try something new today. We can call it Behind the Lies, a short behind-the-scenes bit about the necessary inaccuracies in this video, because it's not really actually possible to rank black holes like trading cards. How so? Well, while we've catalogued millions of stars, we really only have good data on a couple of dozen black holes. That's because black hole gazing wasn't really a thing until 50 years ago, and technically still isn't because we can't see black holes. We can only derive their properties from studying their gravitational effects on the matter around them, like the orbit of stars that come close to them. This effect depends on the mass of the black hole, which we can approximate at the most basic level with Kepler's laws. But this comes with huge uncertainties and error bars. Then we have to convert mass to size next, which brings new uncertainties. For example, we calculated the radius from the mass using the Schwarzschild equation, which for the sake of simplicity assumes black holes are perfectly round and don't spin, a kind of black hole that doesn't really exist. The reality is that physics on these scales is a bit fuzzy. So some of the black holes we talked about here may be way smaller or way bigger. We just don't know for sure. We shimmered around this problem by comparing different sources with different kinds of values and using different mass calculations to arrive at a standardized list that allowed us to be as accurate as humanly possible. You can look at all of this in our source doc. As a result, this script was written with the tiers of experts we drove crazy with our obsession for the best values they could live with. In this process, tons of stuff got cut and didn't make it into the final video. But luckily, we found a way to not waste all of it. We've created a lot of black hole merch, spanning the whole range from somewhat bonkers to more serious. This way, we get to explore a topic from different angles.
That's a slick way to advertise your own merchandise. That's actually kind of slick. Oh, look at all this stuff, but there's only so much that we can do. So we went ahead and put it on our own merchandise. You can learn more about it, but you can actually learn more stuff like, what is it? Death by black hole. Do you want the short answer or the long answer? And then you have a whole chart that takes you to each thing. A whole flow chart on how you get to one end result to the other. Then we have black holes. Most black holes are born after a big star dies and huge amounts of matter are squeezed together tightly. The pull of their gravity is so strong that not even light can escape. There may be as many as 1 billion of them in our galaxy. Just in our galaxy alone. As many as 1 billion. Ranging from a couple of solar masses up to millions of times the mass of our sun. But this is a very slick way to showcase your stuff. Space is scary? Yeah. Because no matter how often they send drones up there, no matter how many times we have people up there, it'll take us decades. You want to know something crazy about how crazy space is? No Man's Sky has been out for 10 years. The game has 18 quintillion planets. And the people of the game, especially Sean Murray, said that even if you took 1 second, if you were to go to every single planet, and it would take you, and you were on the planet for a second each, go to every single planet for a second each, it would take you over 100 years to visit every single one of them. It would take you over 100 years to visit in the game. But also, another thing about how No Man's Sky does, like, just like the depths of space. They've been doing this for 10 years. And the people have only discovered less than 1% of every planet in that game. Less than 1%. It's been out for a decade. And people have only discovered the grand total of every single No Man's Sky player in the world has discovered a grand total of less than 1%. Meaning there is 99% undiscovered planets in this game. Still, after a decade of people playing. It would take us you know what I'm going to do? Real quick, let me switch to the live feed. Let's see. Visiting every planet in No Man's Sky is impossible for a single human. The game features roughly 18 quintillion planets. Even if you spent just 1 second on each planet and instantly teleported between them without stopping to sleep, eat, or load, it would take roughly 585 billion to 5 billion years. Hundreds of times longer than the current age of the universe. Spending a single second on every world without accounting for travel or loading still requires billions of years. With realistic travel time, bumps the calculation to dozens or hundreds of trillions of years. So the thing is, this is going to, it takes 5 billion years to visit each planet in No Man's Sky. 5 billion years. And this was stuff people came to literally all the way back before the game even released in 2016. 5 billion years just to discover every planet in the game. And so here's the percentage. Only 0.00000001% of the No Man's Sky map has been explored according to a new prediction. No. This is a calculation they all came to. Only 1%. This is a calculation that Hello Games came to. Only less than 1%. Less than 1% has been discovered. Even if you take a single second per planet, it would still take you millions of years to find them all. We're getting a No Man's Sky stream soon, right? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Absolutely. Let me go back to this video real quick. Sorry, I took a whole tangent there. I apologize. Once I'm done with this video, though, it's about to be 3 o'clock. Once I'm done with this video, I'm going to take a short break so I can take the boys outside, and then we'll come back and we'll continue.
You get to continue having fun with black holes after this video ends.
This really is a slick way to advertise your stuff by saying, like, we still want you to learn some stuff outside of what we edited. So that is not only informative, but I also really like how this was edited as well. This was very nice. This was very nice. I like this. I like this. Okay, so that was the largest black hole in the universe size comparison. We can definitely have a No Man's Sky stream next week. We can definitely have one next week. Okay, so that was black hole there. Then we have another one. Hold on. Let me see here. I got to bring up this other video that was shown to me. Ba-da, ba-ba-ba-da-da, ba-da, bum-bum-ba-da-dum, ba-dum, bum-bum-ba-da-dum, ba-da, bum-bum-ba-dum, ba-dum, bum-bum-ba-dum, ba-dum, bum-ba-dum-bum. Imagine if Starfield pulled off at least a fraction of No Man's Sky's game as an RPG. That game would have been one of the most played games of all time. It would have been... here it is. How to make an elephant explode. The Size of Life 2. And this is from the same YouTube channel. But here's the issue with Starfield. The issue with Starfield is that Bethesda put into their heads, and mind you, this isn't going to be like a long rant. I just want to bring into perspective why No Man's Sky works and Starfield doesn't. Starfield is trying to be as much a Skyrim / Fallout game as it is a space game. And the trouble with that is that Bethesda does not have the experience necessary to make it feel like you're having a space adventure that No Man's Sky literally wanted to do from the jump. Mind you, they did it in a way where they made a lot of promises, but in some of them weren't there at launch, and people, really wanted to get on their case for it, and rightly so. The game didn't have what many things were showcased when it was shown off. However, unlike Bethesda, who don't seem to know how to learn from their mistakes, No Man's Sky not only learned from their mistakes, but surpassed every single one of their mistakes to the point where they went from being known as the worst game of 2016 to being regarded as one of the best space games of all time. That's how you make an incredibly crazy comeback story. After being at the bottom of the barrel, to now being at a point where everything you do is now watched with not scrutiny, but anticipation, excitement. And this is also the same people that are doing Light No Fire, which is going to be like a singular world, but massive exploration, like fantasy RPG type deal that they're doing. So instead of it being like multiple planets, it's just one, but it's just set on one planet. So everything they're doing for No Man's Sky right now is going into their next game. But the crux of the matter is No Man's Sky literally does space better than Bethesda does space because No Man's Sky understands space. Bethesda does Starfield as if they're trying to make yet another Skyrim or Fallout without actually giving people what they actually enjoy about space. Because you can make any game where you can fly in a ship and go into space, but it takes people who are extra creative for them to have, you know, black holes and space entities that fly up in the air. The concept of being able to not only fly through an entire galaxy, but also fly to the planet physically without any loading screens. And you can say, hey, I'm on this planet. You can bring a buddy with you and you say, I'm on this planet too, but I'm on this side. And you both can literally leave. Starfield once had the advantage, though, of being able to create your own ship. Then No Man's Sky, but No Man's Sky surpassed them in every other aspect of being a genuine space game. Then they introduce the ability to create your own gigantic ship. You can find different parts, craft different parts, and create your own ship the way you want it to look. No longer do you need to go off of the pre-made, randomly generated type mixture of parts that they have. You can literally create your own gigantic cruiser, complete with all sorts of different things like a radar jammer and shields and being able to plant stuff and cook stuff and, you know, have your friends jump on there with you. And you can have a whole big, massive ship that you can build from scratch. The one thing that Starfield had going for itself, and No Man's Sky did it, and you didn't need to pay for it. And another thing that makes No Man's Sky better than Starfield is that Starfield expects you to pay money in order to get extra content. No Man's Sky literally just recently said, after celebrating their 10-year anniversary, they said, it doesn't line up with what we want to do with the game. It doesn't make sense for us to divide our players between people who want to pay for extra content and people who don't. We don't like that philosophy. Everything has been free and it will continue to be free because that's what we want. Open and shut case. What else can be said? You got one developer that thinks, well, if we just make up some random stuff or have some modders make up some stuff and then put a price tag on it, people will just enjoy our games regardless and not care about the quality. And then you have another one that says, we just introduced, like Pokemon battles. We introduced like your own pets. We introduced cooking. Kitty, everyone, there's cooking in No Man's Sky. You could literally become a space chef and learn recipes by cooking up different things and creating dishes. You literally can be graded on the stuff that you make. You literally can be a spacefaring chef if you wanted to. They introduced culinary arts into No Man's Sky. They didn't have to, but they did. You have the ability to do surveys and travel with different players to take part in like missions and stuff to get like unique rewards and special events. Like there was an event where you can get the Normandy from Mass Effect and have that as part of your ship fleet that you could have go off on different missions and stuff. You could be a bounty hunter. You can hunt down ships and hunt down people and get paid for it. You could do you could literally be a space junk man. Go to different planets, contaminated planets, and just clean it up and get paid to do it. Literally get paid to be a space garbage man. There's a lot of things you can do. Go to different planets, learn different languages so you can understand the languages of the Gek and the Korvax and the Vikings so much better. Those are the three species of aliens that they have. There's a lot of depth and a lot of weight to No Man's Sky that Starfield simply cannot do because you don't have the same people that gave us something as good as Skyrim, also the ones in charge of doing Starfield. Bro, there's so much content in No Man's Sky. Matter of fact, let's do this. Hold on. Let me pull this up. What can you do? Because this is still keeping with space. What can you do in No Man's Sky? Let's see. You can build, let me see. What can you do? What activities? You can create your own mech. You can build up an entire town and help defend it from invaders. You can get in dog fights with random pirates who are attacking cruisers, and then you can be gifted the cruiser that you rescued if you want to add it to your own fleet. You can upgrade your fleet and give them different upgrades to make them more formidable in combat. You can build an entire base on the cruiser that you rescue. There's so many different things. Let's see. It's a massive space sandbox hunting for rare S-class gear because you can upgrade all your gear as well, so you can get paid more for scanning flora and fauna. There's a lot of things. You know what? Yeah, we're definitely gonna have to do a No Man's Sky stream sometime very soon. You can upgrade your fleet, take over a settlement. You can create underwater bases. There are ocean planets you can explore, and you can create underwater bases in them. Explore in the depths of the ocean. Create racetracks on planets by creating cars and different vehicles you can drive. You can build bases on any planets that also have teleporters that can take you to different places. There's so much to do in No Man's Sky. There's so much to do. It's crazy. Let me see. Yeah, you got refining, you got cooking. Okay, so going through everything, we had the release on August 9th, which had procedural exploration, survival training, no multiplayer, base building limited. Then the next update was Foundation in 2016 in November. Base building, creative, survival, normal modes, freighters, and farming, because you can farm. You can literally create a space farm where you can have plants and all these different things growing, which you can then use to create materials, or you can sell on the market. So that's another way for you to get rich. Another way for you to make money. Pathfinder introduced exocraft land vehicles, base sharing online, ship class ratings, and permadeath mode. Atlas Rising, which was in 2017, introduced a new story, improved terrain, portal travel, and first proto multiplayer. And that's when they started to mess with multiplayer a little bit, but they didn't fully bring it in quite yet. Next was full multiplayer integration. Third-person cameras, bases anywhere, also launching on Xbox because it launched on PlayStation first, I believe, and a complete graphical overhaul. Then you have the Abyss, which introduced underwater that had a whole underwater overhaul, new creatures, buildings, submarines, and horror narratives. Then you had Visions, which introduced a new alien biome type, colorful worlds, Discoveries catalog, and crashed freighters, which you could then, take pieces from. Beyond introduced full VR support, and I did some streams in the past when I was playing No Man's Sky in VR, and it was incredibly cool. I felt like Anakin Skywalker doing dog rolls, and I could just fire on people, and I was using my different controllers to do everything. It was so cool. Space Anomaly multiplayer hub, No Man's Sky 2.0 tech trees, and more in different NPCs. Then we had Synthesis in 2019, which is ship scrapping, tech transfer between ships, and inventory improvements. Then you had Living Ships update, which introduced organic living ships grown from void eggs with unique upgrade systems, meaning that you don't have to have a regular ship. You can literally have a living, breathing ship you can fly in, and it had its own unique upgrades. Then you had Exomech, which introduced the Minotaur mech exocraft and improved terrain manipulating. Then you had Crossplay that essentially introduced the ability to play with anyone across any platform. Then you had Desolation, which introduced derelict freighters and abandoned ships to board and loot. Then you had Origins, which was a massive planetary overhaul for the entire game, where it made mountains 4 times bigger, it introduced sandworms, new biomes, and binary stars. Then Next Generation, which introduced the PS5 and Xbox Series X 60 FPS ray tracing and faster loading versions, which is a version I use now, and it's so much better. Then you have Companions, where you can adopt, name, breed, hatch creature companions from eggs. Then you had Expeditions, which was a new Expeditions game mode with time-limited community challenges. Then you had Prisms, which was in 2021, and mind you, this is update 350. It goes all the way down to update 630, so we're not even there yet. There's so much that they did. Prisms is a visual overhaul, reflections, improved lighting, creature for... Oh, wait, you guys can't see this at all, sorry. So you guys can actually see, my bad. Visuals overhaul, reflections, improved lighting, creature fur, and new sky effects. Then you had Frontiers, which introduced settlements, player-managed alien villages, and reworked build menus. Then you had Sentinel, with a complete Sentinel AI rework, mech sentinels, mechanical companions, and a new story. Then you had Outlaws. If you wanted to be a bad guy, you literally have a whole section dedicated to it. Outlaw system, solar ships, pirate space stations, and smuggling economy. If you want to live your life like a Han Solo-like, you can. Then you had Endurance, freighter interiors fully customizable, major fleet and frigate overhaul. Then you had Waypoint, which was the Nintendo Switch launch, with a complete inventory rework and adjustable difficulty. Then you had Fractal, which had a PlayStation VR 2 support, VR visual overhaul, and Wonders catalog. Then you had Interceptor, which introduced corrupted Sentinel ships and dissonant corrupted planets. Then you had Singularity. We're not even near the bottom yet. Singularity, which came out 2 years ago. Actually, it might have been 3, because it's 2026 right now, and this was 2023. So this might be, this might actually be old now. So this was 3 years ago. Autophage story expansion via ARG style expedition. Then you have Echoes, Autophage robot race, or ownable pirate freighters and new factions. Then you had Omega, a free-to-play event for the 8th anniversary, new expedition and improvements. Then you had Orbital, which is a space station redesign, ship customization from modular components and guilds. Then you had Adrift, expedition in a universe with no NPCs and no active stations. Then you had Worlds Part 1, the second planet overhaul, new water tech, fauna, clouds, and atmospheric improvements. Then you had Aquarius, fishing! You can fish 200 plus fish species, fishing rig, exoskiff, automated traps, and new recipes in case you wanted to cook some fish. Then you have The Cursed, Halloween expedition with cursed planet mechanics. Then you have cross save, so that way if you play on one system, your save will transfer to another completely different system. Then we have Worlds Part 2, which was last year. Gas giants, water worlds, new star types, ancient ruins, and another new story. Then we have relics. If you want to be an archaeologist, you have fossil hunting and excavation and improved settlements. Then we have Beacon, which is the Nintendo Switch 2 launch, which also brings settlement improvements and new base parts. Then we had Voyagers with corvettes. Massive modular ships with walkable interiors and multiplayer crews. This is the one where you get to create your own big massive ship that you can customize however you want. Then we had Breach, new Corvette modules, Deep Space Corvette Rex for salvage. Then we had Remnant this year in February. Gravitino Coil Gravity Tool, Colossus Exocraft Overhaul, and Industrial Waste. This is the cleanup, garbage man stuff I was talking about. And then in April of this year, the last one that we got was the Xeno Arena, which introduced creature battles. Adopt, train, and fight fauna in the Arena League. These are 6 major updates. 6 major updates with smaller updates in between. And the next major update we're supposed to be getting is called Cosmos. This is what all you can do in No Man's Sky now. This is what you can do. So when I say No Man's Sky is that space game, hey, they're not like Star Citizen where they've made over $1 billion making this game and it still hasn't left alpha yet. They only have like the starting price. Actually, you know what? Hold on, let me see. No Man's Sky. How much does it cost on PlayStation right now? Or on Steam, $60, still the same price. And I believe it's still the same price on PlayStation as well. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, it's still the same price. But I say it's worth it. Way more than it's ever been. But let's go ahead and get back to the videos because we got some more after these. Yeah, we got some more after these. How to make an elephant explode the size of life 2. And I said that I was going to take the boys out after we got done with the black hole one. So give me a moment. Let me go take the boys out. Let me clean up my lunch stuff right here. And then we will continue on with more of People's Choice. So hold tight, everybody. Put my headphones in here so they can charge up while I'm gone. No, I dropped it. I am so glad that I keep my room clean enough where it's not like I need to worry about like any dust sticking to my headphones because I clean my headphones regularly because they be in my ears all the time. So, you know, but I'll be right back. Hold tight, everybody. All right. Thank you for your patience. We can now continue on with how to make an elephant explode. Make sure my mic is facing the right direction. There we go. Because I still got to do my Bleach reaction after this for the next episode. But let's continue.
Let's shrink an elephant to the size of a mouse and enlarge a mouse and make it the size of an elephant, because this is our video and we want to see what happens. First, our now tiny elephant stumbles around and then drops dead. Tiny elephant buddy is very cold, frozen to death in minutes. Our giant mouse looks very uncomfortable for a moment, and then it explodes, leaving hot mouse insides everywhere. Why? Because of size.
I was not expecting to see a mouse explode in this video. I'm going to be so real with you. I was not expecting to see a mouse explode. Especially from this anime. Especially from this animation, I was not expecting that at all.
We are optimized to function precisely for the size we are and would die horribly in any other environment. But why exactly? Why does our mouse explode, and can we do this to our elephant too if we try hard? Life on this planet is based on cells. Cells do vary in size, but they're pretty similar in their dimensions across all species. A blue whale doesn't have bigger cells than a hummingbird, just a lot more of them. Cells have to do a lot of stuff to stay alive, and they need energy to be able to do so. To get this energy, animal cells convert food and oxygen into usable chemical energy. This happens in our mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. They're like little coal engines that spit out tiny ATP batteries, which the cell can use for almost everything it needs to do. Just like an engine, mitochondria get really hot while working. In human skin cells, they reach a scorching 50 degrees Celsius. And some of our cells have up to 2,000 mitochondria which are radiating their heat into the cell. So being alive generates a lot of heat. The more cells you have, the more heat your body generates in total. If our bodies didn't find ways of losing this heat, we would be cooked from the inside and die. But this is a problem for bigger animals because of the way bodies change as living beings scale up. Animals have three properties here that are important: their length, their outsides or skin, and their insides, like organs, bones, and hopes and dreams. The thing that's hard to wrap your head around is that when things grow, their insides grow faster than their outsides. Imagine a fleshy cube. If you double the length of its sides, its surface and volume do not double. In fact, the surface is now 4 times the original size and the volume of the cube 8 times the original size, which is called the square cube law and has been annoying nature for billions of years. So why is this a problem for big animals? Because heat can only leave an object via its surface. So if we make our mouse the size of an elephant, or 60 times longer, it has 3,600 times more surface from which to lose heat. But it has 216,000 times more volume, filled with trillions and trillions of new hot mitochondria that produce more heat. A lot more insides, not that much more skin. Our mouse is very dead very fast. But big things like elephants exist, so how do they deal with the heat? For one, they evolved ways to get rid of energy more easily, like huge flat ears that have a lot of surface where heat can escape. But that's not enough. Nature's solution is actually very elegant. Elephant cells are much, much slower than mice cells. The bigger an animal is, the less active its cells are. If we classify animals by their metabolic rates and compare that to their overall mass, it's clearly visible. It's not 100% accurate, but it is a good rule of thumb. Elephants are huge meat sacks filled with trillions and trillions of little coal ovens. So they keep the ovens just active enough to keep them running and never at full power. Their whole metabolism is slow. Things move at a nice, chill pace. Small animals need to go the exact opposite way. If you're small, you have a lot of surface area compared to not a lot of volume. You don't have a lot of cell ovens and lose the heat they produce very fast. So very tiny mammals came up with a very extreme solution. Meet the Etruscan shrew, the smallest mammal on Earth. a mole-like thing that's more closely related to hedgehogs than to mice. With a body length of 4 centimeters, it only weighs about 1.8 grams, as much as a paperclip. It's a tiny, ridiculous being. It would basically cool off immediately, so its cells run on overdrive to stay warm. Its tiny ovens are filled at maximum capacity. Its heart beats up to 1,200 times a minute, and it breathes up to 800 times a minute. This creates an extreme need for energy, so the shrew has to eat constantly.
I heard of this shrew. I heard of this thing. It is so ridiculously small, but it needs to eat constantly because it has one of the highest metabolisms of any mammal. It literally can only, I seen this video, I think it was Dave Attenborough from BBC. I think it was National Geographic. We're not watching it because National Geographic seems to think that if I watch their stuff, then that means they get to claim and block my entire video. Thankfully, no strikes, but you understand me. So, but I seen this shrew. I seen so much about this shrew. This thing is so ridiculously small, yet it moves it only sleeps for like a couple of minutes, and then it's back to hunting food and eating because it literally has to go a literal mile a minute just to survive. It's small, but it's what would happen if the term bundle of energy was put inside of a creature. That is what this thing does. It has to constantly eat, constantly find food, and sleeps very shortly. Like, what was this thing called again? Let me get the name.
Fast. So very tiny mammals came up with a very extreme solution. Meet the
Etruscan shrew. Let me pull this up. We're going to learn some things today. Etruscan shrew. Yeah, this is the same thing. Smallest known mammal on Earth by mass. Averaging just 1.8 grams. Has a body length of about 3.5 to 4.8 centimeters. A blazing fast metabolism, a heart rate of up to 1,500 beats per minute, and must eat up to double its body weight daily to survive. Daily. As a fierce micropredator, it eats mostly insects, larvae, and small vertebrates, often hunting prey as large as itself. Missing a meal for a few hours can be fatal for it. For us, we can go hours without eating. Like, we eat breakfast, then we don't eat for a little while, for a couple of hours. Then we eat lunch, then we don't eat for a couple of hours, then we eat dinner. There is no breaks in between meals. Missing a meal for just a few hours will literally kill this thing. But one of the things about it is that it has a life expectancy of around only 2 years. Because it is literally, I want to say it's, with its high metabolism and how it has to always be active with little time for resting, it feels to me like this is the type of creature that is literally burning itself out just to survive. And that's the reason why it does not survive for very long. Let me see if I could put up its activity. Like, how long does it sleep? Oh, okay. Due to its small size and consequent high surface area to volume ratio, the Etruscan shrew is at a constant risk of hypothermia and would die quickly of hypothermia if not for its extremely rapid metabolism. Let's see. Hiding period. Life expectancy is estimated at typically around 2 years, but with a large uncertainty. Protect their territories by making chirping sounds and signs of aggressiveness. They tend to groom themselves constantly when not eating and are always moving when awake and not hiding. The hiding periods are short and typically last less than half an hour. Clicking sounds are heard when these shrews are moving, which cease when they rest. The shrews are more active during the night where they make long trips. During the day, they stay near the nest or in a hiding place. They reach their maximum level of activity at dawn. Man. Let's see, in cold seasons and during shortages of food, the shrew lowers their body temperatures down to about 12 degrees Celsius, 54 degrees Fahrenheit, and enter a state of temporary hibernation to reduce energy consumption. Recovery from this state is achieved accompanied by shivering at a frequency of 58 muscle contractions a second. Okay, back to this. I'm sorry. I took like a whole secondary tangent because of this one shrew, because I remember looking this thing up.
Etruscan shrew, the smallest mammal on Earth. A mole-like thing that's more closely related to hedgehogs than to mice. With a body length of 4 centimeters, it only weighs about 1.8 grams, as much as a paperclip. It's a tiny, ridiculous being. It would basically cool off immediately, so its cells run on overdrive to stay warm. Its tiny ovens are filled at maximum capacity. Its heart beats up to 1,200 times a minute, and it breathes up to 800 times a minute. This creates an extreme need for energy, so the shrew has to eat constantly. After only 4 hours without food, it starves to death. And while an African elephant...
Well, we know how long. If it goes longer than 4 hours, it literally starves to death. 4 hours without eating, starves to death and dies.
Consumes around 4% of its body weight in food each day, our shrew needs 200% of its body weight in food a day just to survive. Imagine having to eat 2,000 Big Macs a day, more than one a minute. Fun for a while, but then not so much. So a cubic centimeter of shrew needs 40 times more food than a cubic centimeter of elephant. If an elephant's cells suddenly become as active as the cells of a shrew, a crazy amount of heat would be generated. All the liquids in the elephant would suddenly start boiling, and then it would explode in an impressive explosion of steaming hot, burning elephant parts. In reality, before an explosion occurred, the proteins making up our cells would probably be denatured and stop producing heat. But a meat explosion is much more fun than melting an elephant into a massive hot goo. Regardless, the scaling of the speed of metabolism happens everywhere, even in places we don't expect, like pregnant women. A baby in the womb of its mother behaves as if it were a part of her. Its cells have about the same metabolic rate, the same speed of life as its mother's organs. It is truly a part of a bigger whole rather than an individual. Until it's not anymore. The very moment a baby is born, a switch is flipped and all its internal processes speed up rapidly. 36 hours after birth, the baby's cells have the same activity rate as a mammal its size. Babies literally transition from being an organ to being an individual in mere hours. But there's one thing where big and small things are very similar: heartbeats. Mammals tend to have a similar amount of heartbeats over their lifetime, typically around 1 billion. So while the shrew and elephant are very different, they share a similar number of heartbeats over the course of their lives. Their speed of life is the opposite and somehow still the same. And for a video in which we made elephants explode for no good reason, this is the most romantic ending we could come up with.
Humorous, but also informative. Okay, I might need to check out this channel a little bit more. I like how they put things and I like how they describe them. Not saying that if they were to use entire scientific terms, I wouldn't be able to comprehend them. But I like these. I definitely like these. Thank you. Thank you. I like that. I like that a lot. I like learning, just to be honest with you. So, let me come back here. Let me check something. Weird. Of course. Okay. All right. All right. Okay, so that was... what was it called? How to make an elephant explode. That was that one. Now let me pull up the next one, which is supposed to be from Kitty. You know, these are going to be fun. Egg chicken omelet. How much chicken you gonna put in there? What happened? What about the eggs at the bottom? Dude, too much is falling out. Too much is falling out. Too much is falling out. I was wondering what he was doing beforehand. I'm like, what is he doing? Is that sauce or is that spices or like thick spices? No, it's literally pieces of chicken that he's mashing together with his fingers that then drip onto the omelet itself. It definitely looks interesting, I'll say that much. Okay, it's just showing it from the beginning again. Y'all know me. Y'all know me. I don't care what part of the country you're from. I'm kind of particular about people's hands all over the food. I'm just very particular about it. I don't care where you're from. But if your hand is like all the way in there and the chicken, instead of it already being diced up, it's just like minorly chopped up, and your way of cutting the pieces into smaller pieces, literally press it between your fingers and doing that, and you know, I'm just not a fan of people's hands being all that deeply within the food that way. So for me, it looks interesting, but I probably wouldn't need it simply because I don't know of the cleanliness standards, and that's pretty much a big thing for me when it comes to food. Unless I actually know the people, I tend not to trust food prepared in this way without like gloves or like plastic gloves on or something to cover the hands. Like having your hands exposed into food is like a big thing for me. So regardless of how this may taste, it's the process and exposure to hands that are pretty much touching everything else. Like you got chicken, and then you're dipping your hand in vegetables, and then you're mixing that up with some other spices and then some other sauces, and that's all just still on your same hand. And it's just going into the food, and that's being served. I just don't mess with food personally. And mind you, I'm just saying this as a person who's just watching it be prepared, as if I'm going to go down to India in order to eat this food. For me, it's always been a big pet peeve of mine. That's me. And y'all know me, when it comes to Josh and Mama, that standard of not contaminating one type of food with another type of food, or exposing it in ways that could make things, dangerous for people to eat, is a big no-no for me. I don't care what country you're from. Cross-contamination is literally boundless and borderless in what it can affect across this entire world. So I don't care how good this may taste. I just don't particularly trust food that's kind of prepared this way. Unless I know the chefs themselves are 100% clean in how they provide, in how they, create food. That's the only exception. So that was an egg chicken omelet. Kitty, this was toned down today. This was toned down. Compared to a lot of stuff, this was toned down. But that was the egg chicken omelet. Let's check out the next video, which is sent in by our resident seismologist. Apparently the 7.4 earthquake in Colombia. I don't know how long this is. It's 12 minutes long. And this is the Colombia earthquake that happened like a couple of days ago. So, and this is on YouTube. Would it be safe for me to see this? Would it be safe? Let's see. I don't think they're gonna put anything that could get this channel flagged on it. So I think we should be fine. I hope no one was still in there. See, this is the sort of thing that terrifies me about earthquakes, and I see buildings collapsing and I see people running away from it. I really hope no one was in there. Especially when it's entire sections of a building falling. I really hope no one was in there.
Are we, Lord? Where? Are we? Huh?
There were still people inside. Oh, this is the one that I recently saw. This big, massive earthquake.
Damn, this quake is a nightmare.
Was that an AI voice that just said that? This was way to take me out of such a serious moment right now, only to have that this random voice go like, "Man, this earthquake is a nightmare." Way to take me out of the moment.
Damn, this quake is a nightmare.
Probably auto-dubbed. It has to be. I don't have dubbing on because the audio track is, you know, it is auto-dubbed. It is auto-dubbed. It's set to automatically be English. Yet it only translates a few things far in between. Sticking with Spanish. Everybody calling either their friends or their family.
Está temblando fuerte. Miren. Son las 7:36 de la mañana, 10 de agosto del 2026, acá en Cali, Avenida Roosevelt con 43.
I was about to say, ain't no way this video's over, but no, it's just a little bar at the bottom. It made me think the video was over all of a sudden. One of the worst places to be is to be on top of a building during an earthquake, especially one that is in the middle of construction.
Dios mío. Dios mío, Señor. Dios mío, Señor. Padre eterno, Padre santo, Padrecito lindo. Ayúdenos, ayúdenos, Dios mío, Dios mío. Dios mío, lindo. Dios mío.
One of the biggest fears is if you're in construction and an earthquake happens, is that the crane does not come down.
Cálmate, cálmate, cálmate. Calmados, niños, calmados, por favor. Calmados, calmados. Calmados, bajemos, pero calmados, bajemos de a uno, calmados, calmados. Todo lo que se cayó, mira. Vámonos, vámonos.
And you can see the dust in the distance from how far this earthquake affected everybody. It's flexing like Luffy's G5 or something. Looks goofy in One Piece, but that's scary in real life. Yeah, seeing metal that's supposed to be straight suddenly moving as if it's purely rubber because that's how shaken it is. Something that's supposed to serve as a solid foundation for a building is left helpless to wave in the motions by this earthquake. That building's coming down. That building's coming down. That building's coming down. And this building looks like it had like a domino effect and it fell on top of each other.
¿Listos?
I got little goosebumps from that one building completely coming off and falling over. There's someone up there. There was someone up there on the rafters. I saw them. Horrible place to be in because it's all surrounded by glass. Never seen this many 7.0 earthquakes happen this frequently. Some say it's the government, but that's a conspiracy. It's the government causing these earthquakes. I'd love the proof, instead of just the, just trust me, bro. I would love the proof.
Dios mío.
Cause you know what? I'm not even going to get off into it. That's a level of stupidity that even I don't want to entertain. How many people were in front of that building?
Dios mío. Amor, el carro. Ay, Dios mío. Dios mío. Dios mío, vea nuestro carro, amor. Dios mío.
Nope. 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 No. Whoa. I really hope no one was near that building when it came down. Because there's not enough time for you to notice and get out of the way in time to a safe distance, because that's how fast it fell.
Dios mío.
This is Colombia. This happened just days ago.
Dios mío, protégenos, Dios mío. Padre Santo, Señor, Dios mío. En tus manos. Catedral, marica, no. ¿Qué hacemos? No, no, no. No, no, no. ¡No! ¡No, no más! ¡No! ¡Dios mío, ya! ¡No más, Dios! ¡Dios, no más! Dios mío, protégenos, Dios mío. Padre.
Finally arrived just to a nightmarish day. It's so heartbreaking hearing the fear in their voices, right? Just the sheer fear. Witnessing so many places they may have frequented, places they may have even lived, just coming down and they can't do anything about it. And they're in the heart of it as well. It's really the cries of fear that are getting me right now. That is like, this is what a lot of nations deal with on a regular basis. It doesn't happen everywhere, but where it does, stuff like this happens. And this is just stuff that people are able to record. Who knows what things are like when people are not recording everything that's going on? But it's for people who record everything that we get a sense of what's happening in other nations. But it's just the cries of sorrow and fear just happening with so many people.
Puta, ¿qué es esa mierda? Amor, ven para acá. Dios, 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 ayúdanos. Puta. Mamá.
This makes me wonder why people say to stay under like door frames when this is going on. I'd rather be outside if I have the chance to get out. I don't know the exact reason itself. I may have to ask either Rox or Kitty later on, or you may be able to ask them later on. Those power and phone lines are scarily low to the ground. Oh, they are. They are. Not every nation has the funding and resources in order to create higher power lines so that they're not too close to the ground. Because if those things fall to the ground, they are a very, very high liability. Because all I'm thinking is, like, I really hope not a single one of these poles falls down. Because if an active wire just falls onto the ground, anyone who touches it is gone. But that was the first footage of the 7.4 earthquake in Colombia. Collapsed buildings and people trapped. There were people trapped in some of these buildings coming down. We just didn't see them. We just didn't see them. Wow. Okay. Next one. And I believe this is the last one that I have been tagged in. And this is sent in by Kratos, the village cooking. Okay. It looks like we can't continue to watch that. Now, mind you, this doesn't do anything to my channel. It doesn't put like a strike or anything on there. It's just that it momentarily blocked my entire stream. Let me go to my dashboard and make sure that I'm good. I'm still good. Nothing popped up. The stream wasn't ended. What happened? It essentially said that you are watching content that belongs to someone else. And in order to continue watching, you need to make sure you're on that person's approved watch list. That's what it just told me. Now, the thing is, I haven't seen this happen to my stream before. Hold on. I actually got the email. Let's see. It says, "Hi, Kyushu92. Due to a copyright match, your stream was interrupted. Streams are interrupted when copyright content is detected. After copyright material is no longer being streamed, streams are automatically re-enabled." And that's the email they just sent me. So, we can't stream their content? Apparently not. Apparently not. So at least we learned that, which means that more than likely when this stream processes, either one or two things is going to happen. One, I'll probably have to cut out this section of the stream entirely in order to actually keep the stream. Didn't know that. I'm sorry for that. Don't even worry about it. You live and learn. It's all good. It's not like it's going to keep me from, it's not like it's going to, end my job or anything, because that's, yeah, it was a nice looking video, wasn't it? It was, but we could not continue watching this at all. And I don't know if it's because they're a very successful channel or because they got like 30.8 million subscribers and this video gained 246 million views like 3 years ago. So I don't know if it's in the manner of which Uncle Roger edited it, so it'd be safe for him to react to it. But Village Cooking Channel appears to be off the books for us to react to. So at least we know. So unfortunately, I can't finish that video on stream. I cannot finish that video on stream. So I'm really hoping that we got most of the way. You didn't get a new strike, did you? Nope, I didn't get a new one. If it says, because the thing is, I'm not trying to monetize the stream. Obviously, I'm not trying to monetize it. If it processes and says that it's blocked and I don't get a strike, then that means that I have to cut out the Village Cooking Channel portion of the stream itself. But no, and on like last week, the strike that was on my channel because of the One Piece episode I reacted to that a whole AI company just went and claimed me on, that just left. So depending on how this stream goes and how it finishes processing, I'm probably going to have to edit out the whole portion of the Village Cooking Channel. And now it makes me wary about reacting to the Avengers Doomsday trailer on stream as well, because I kind of don't want it to get interrupted, because you know how Disney be with people looking at their videos and stuff. So I'm kind of wary about that. I might need to do that as a separate video all on its own, just to avoid potential problems with that one. So yeah, as much as I would have liked to do that live, now I'm kind of wary. Now I'm kind of wary about trying to go further than that. So I'll just make a video of it after. Well, actually, I can make a video of Doomsday before I record the Bleach episode. But this is probably where I'm gonna. You know what? This is good. This is good. This is a sign. This is a sign to stop. This is a sign to stop before anything goes any further. Thankfully, it's not like, oh, we detected copyrighted material on this video, so we're going to put a strike on your channel instantly. I'm grateful for that. It just interrupted it until I stopped it. And the last time this happened, we were literally looking at old school TV show intros for cartoons from like the 80s and 90s. And I got interrupted multiple times because of that, but I never received a strike about it. But I'm still going to be careful. But this is where I'm going to call it, so that way I can record the rest of my stuff for today, and then I am going to get back on Warframe. I am so, and this is actually perfect timing too, because we were just talking about storms, right? There's another one outside. I'm so glad I took the boys outside when I did to avoid all this, but yeah, there's another storm outside, so this is a perfect sign for me to stop. So Kratos, thank you for the Village Cooking Channel video. Sorry I couldn't react to the rest of it, but you know how YouTube is. They have favorites. Laughing Alien, good to see you as well. Anime Gamer, good to see you. Let me see. I saw Tony, he was in here. I saw Hybrid, he was in here. Kitty was in here as well. CDs was in here as well. Everyone who sent in a video for me to react to today, I just wanted to say thank you. I had fun, even though it kind of ended up a little bit more abrupt than I was hoping, than I thought it would. I enjoyed all of the videos that you guys sent my way, and except for some of the ones that made me question it. But other than that, I had a good time, and I'm looking forward to the next People's Choice stream where I get to enjoy more stuff that you guys come up with. That's all I got for today. With that being said, hope you all enjoyed. Can't wait to see you all in my next video. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you want to support the channel a little bit extra, then you either consider checking out my membership here on YouTube or me over on Patreon, because I am always looking forward to entertaining you. And because I know you're coming back anyway. Have a fantastic day, and once again, as always... Wait, wrong hand. Later, peoples!